Meeting is now streaming live on YouTube.
Let's check. This is in our Frog Force YouTube channel. Is that correct, Mrs. Moore?
Yes.
Yeah. I think Krishna just confirmed that he can see it live in the YouTube right now.
Luca has a thumbs up too.
And then Krishanu and Navi, are you guys okay? Able to see the questions whenever it comes up?
Yeah.
Okay.
$30 seconds.
Anyone not talking, be on mute, okay?
Okay, Vandana, whenever you're ready, please start the town hall meeting.
Okay. Hello, everyone. Welcome to our 2020 online town hall meeting. My name is Vandan, and along me I have Ashna, and we're both Frog Force students. We're going to be presenting this year's Novi Robotics town hall meeting online. Before we begin, however, we'd like you all to log into YouTube with your channel. This way you can interact with us and we'll be able to answer your questions in the comments. To start us off, we'll be talking a little bit about FIRST. So what is FIRST, you might ask? FIRST is an international robotics competition organization that was created by Dean Kamen. Dean Kamen is the inventor of the Segway, so if you might remember him from there. Dean's mission was to create a STEM program where students could learn and compete together. FIRST stands for the inspiration and recognition of science and technology. This program includes everyone from kindergarten through 12th graders. It includes students from all across the globe.
This is a video from FIRST, which shows you a little bit more about the program.
This isn't a robot. It very well may have hydraulic arms, a drivetrain, and a circuit board, but this isn't a robot. This is a lesson in humility, hard work, and collaboration. This is a CrossFit workout for the muscle upstairs. This is an apple for the next generation of Newtons. It's a lot of things, but this isn't a robot. This is a roadmap that leads straight to engineering. This is a rock to shatter 1,000 glass ceilings, a rope to pull a generation up and out of poverty, a sledgehammer to break down cultural barriers, and a universal language spoken in every nation on Earth. And because of that, this is a compass that can help point the way to peace. But please, don't think this is just a robot. This is Glastonbury for technology. This is mission control for the next moonshot. This is the Rosetta Stone to help translate the future. This is the sport that will help us win tomorrow. This is the software to program ourselves to cure cancer, build a clean engine, or step foot on Mars. But this isn't a robot. It's a machine to build the people who will change the world.
We're a robotics team from Novi High School founded in 2001. Our team has a long and successful history as a competitive robotics team and is recognized across the world. Our team has around 80 students from 9th grade to 12th grade. FrogForce consists of build, programming, marketing, and working with their sponsors. We volunteer and help lead multiple community events, as well as lead and mentor the Novi Robotics program.
In 2012, FrogForce created the Novi Robotics program, or otherwise known as NBOT, to create FIRST programs for younger students in our community. Since then, FrogForce has provided support for the NBOT teams through student mentors and workshops, as well as partnering with the Novi Community School District to register participants. So within FIRST itself, we have a few different levels. Underneath FIRST International falls FIRST in Michigan, which adheres to certain different rules and guidelines. FIRST in Michigan is the HQ for FIRST teams throughout the state, which hosts events and competitions. And Novi Robotics, or NBOT, falls underneath FIRST in Michigan to provide local support.
There are 4 different levels of FIRST in Novi. The first one is called FIRST LEGO League Explore and is for kids from grades kindergarten to 3rd. The next level is called FIRST LEGO League Challenge and is for grades 4th through 6th. The middle school level is called FIRST Tech Challenge, and the last level for high schoolers is called FIRST Robotics Competition. We have a full progression of programs in Novi. The age groups for the progression in Michigan is different than what you will see on the internet on the national level. Every season, there's a different overall theme to the robotics competitions. Last season, FIRST partnered with Disney and Lucasfilms as part of the Star Wars Force for Change initiative. As part of FIRST Rise, each of the 4 FIRST programs had a specific challenge related to building communities and being a force for change in our world.
Last year, for FLL Explore, the Boomtown teams examined and solved problems with people in their own community. They designed a model for their city or town to help solve these certain challenges and were able to present this model at the end of the season. In addition to building a model, the students will be required to research a topic and share their findings at an expo at the end of the season. Students will also learn basic programming and learn how to code at an elementary level.
FLL Challenge teams build a robot using the LEGO Mindstorm kit. The robot game is played on a 4x8 field. The robot is programmed to autonomously complete a series of LEGO models and and create and complete a series of tasks called missions by interacting with the Lego models on the field. In last year's game, City Shaper, teams built buildings, operated a crane, and cleared a traffic jam. FLL Challenge has 3 important parts which you will present to the judges at competition. First, the students design and program a Lego robot according to the challenge. The students also come up with an idea related to the problem given and create a research presentation. The last part teaches students about first core values and how they can use them during competition and the rest of their lives. Last year, the FLL Challenge teams competing in City Shaper identified a problem with a building or public place in their community. They then came up with an innovative solution and shared their solution with others. At competition, your team will present their core values poster to the judges. They will also take part in a team challenge, showing how they use the core values they have learned. This is a video by FLL Team 4182 Tadpoles, gives an overview of their city field and their judging boards.
Hi everyone, my name is Hasni Tegula. Today I'm going to give you an overview of the FLL table, game mat, and judging trifles. This is our FLL table and our FLL dimensions are 8 feet by 4 feet. Right now, as you can see, there's a gap between the FLL game mat and the FLL table. This area is called a home base. The home base might continue this season or it might change. In FLL, we have 3 judging rounds: robot, project, and core values. For robot, you put your programs, your robot features, and your missions which you're doing. For project, you put your problem statement, your solution, and what people you're going to share with. For core values is the most important for first, and we show how we grow as a team. Happy Legoing!
Each FTC team will have 2 alliances, with each alliance having 2 teams each, for a total of 4 teams in one game. The game itself will have an autonomous and a driver-operated section, with an endgame portion at the end. Last year's game, Skystone, required teams to stack foam cubes on top of each other in order to earn points. In FTC, students will build an 18 by 18 by 18 inch robot with metal pieces and will have to construct the robot out of the parts given. The game itself will be played on a 12 by 12 foot field. The FTC teams will be judged on their engineering notebook, which consists of their documentation of their season. They will be judged on a variety of categories, from robot design to programming to outreach to team spirit. FTC teams can qualify for awards in each of these categories. This is a video by FTC team Black Frogs, which gives an overview of their FTC season.
This year's challenge for FRC was called Infinite Recharge. Frogforce is having a separate meeting for FRC on May 27th. FRC robots have larger fields and a bigger kit of parts. Teams play 3 against 3 matches and elimination rounds. Teams can also participate in outreach initiatives across their communities. They can also choose to participate in judging during the competition. Here's a little teaser video for next year's challenge.
For centuries, sports have played an integral part of our culture. Moving, collaborating, competing, celebrating. We rally around our athletes, lift them up, and admire their awe-inspiring moments and stories that give us hope. The nature of traditional sports is shifting, and we have the power to be forces for change and redefine the game. No matter whether our talents lie on the court, in the lab, or with a controller in hand, there's an athlete inside each and every one of us. Let's work together to champion every sport and every person that plays the game. It's time for us to revolutionize the way we play and move. It's time to be game changers.
Good evening. I'm Kaushik Bose, one of the Frogforce mentors, and I'm going to walk you through this coach-mentor roles. So basically on the left, you're going to see some of the potential parent roles, like host, for example, which is the person or the household that will be hosting the tables for the FLL competition or the field for the FTC competition. Ideally, this will also be the place where all the meetings will be held. So that's one of the roles that a parent could play. Coach, obviously, you'll have to oversee everything, typically what a coach does. The parents could also sign up to be a build mentor. In that case, you'll be helping with the build. Programming, depending on if it's FLL, it probably would be EV3. If it is FTC, it would be Java based. Core values mentor, which is primarily for FLL, but again, that's something that every team or every team can benefit from. Treasurer, basically the finance part, and administration, that will help with setting up the meetings, setting up all the different activities that the team has to do. So a couple of points on that. Typically, the best scenario that I have seen in my experience is you would ideally want each of the parents to assign or get assigned to one of the roles. That way all the parents are involved, they are all engaged, and there is always a first time to do any of the roles. So even if you think that how would I do something that I've never done in the past, so don't worry about that. We've all gone through that, so that should be not an issue in this case. And typically we do not want the coach and the host to be the same person. That way every parent has a role to play, and it just makes the meetings more meaningful, and everybody has something to contribute to the team. On the right, you will see some of the guidelines that we typically ask the coaches, mentors, or the adults to play. Obviously, a couple of important things would be, this is not just a kids activity, but the parents do have to play very important roles. I mean, the parents, and as you can see, based on the mentoring, they have to be very much involved. You cannot drop your child to the host's house and then go back after an hour or a couple of hours and pick them up. That's not going to work. Every parent, along with every kid, has to be very much involved. And one thing I can assure you or guarantee you for sure is at the end of the season, you will enjoy, it will be a lot of fun. It will be a very rewarding experience, and you'll be very happy that you signed up for one of these activities, or one of these roles rather. One other thing I want to mention is this tournament or this competition is for the kids. You would want the kids to learn, experience, experiment, and do all the stuff. The parents should not be hands-on in terms of helping with what the competition and the robot season is all about. Typically, we want the parents to be primarily, just drive the kids to the place where you're meeting, and those kind of stuff. But ideally, we want the kids to take up all the roles and make it a learning experience for the kids to enjoy and learn from the season. And one last thing, if there are any questions that you have, there's a YouTube channel that's going on. Please feel free to post your questions. So at the end of the presentation, we will take those questions and answer any questions that you may have.
Hello, my name is Oliver Freise. I'm a mentor with Frog Force FRC team and have been coaching the Tech Warriors FLL team for the past 6 years. For both FLL and FTC, NBOT is providing support for rookie teams in similar ways. FLL teams will be provided with a coach meeting guide and student engineering notebooks in their challenge kits to guide them through the season. Individual team mentoring meetings will be arranged for all rookie teams prior to the season kickoff to get your team started. There will be robot design and programming workshops before the season officially starts. We will host kickoff events on the official season start dates, reviewing the upcoming season challenge. Frog Force will provide student mentors for every team that requests one. FL rookie teams will get the opportunity to attend a competition workshop to learn how a competition is run. And also all FLL teams will have access to the Tech Warriors FLL Task Force team that will provide answers to any FLL question by email, video conference, or if possible, in person. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Janelle Moore, and I'm a mentor on the Frog Force team. Thank you for joining us tonight for our town hall meeting, and we hope you're excited about joining First Robotics. So what are the next steps? For the kindergarten through 8th grade programs, the next step is to register your student at the Novi Community Ed website for the program that's appropriate for the grade that they're going into in the fall. The participation fees that are paid to Community Ed are what fund your team expenses for the season. As part of the registration, you'll have the opportunity to select your parent role on the team and how you'd like to support and mentor your students' team. You'll also have the opportunity to select that if you are returning and what team that you're returning to, or if you would like to be placed with a friend, there's also the opportunity to sign up for that. We will be forming the teams after the registration closes on June 1st, and we'll do our best to give everybody the team that they have requested and to be with their student friends that they've requested. We will need coaches and hosts in order to form the teams. Every first team needs to have a primary coach and a secondary coach, and also a family that is willing to host the team for the meetings and for the practices. And be able to host either the 4x8 FLL table or the 12x12 FTC field. We plan to have the teams formed by June 12th. And after that point, in the last couple of weeks of June, we'll be meeting virtually with each team to answer questions and help you get started. Okay, at this point, oh, sorry, one more screen. If you have any questions, please post them on the chat, from the YouTube live chat, and we will do our best to answer all of your questions. If you have additional questions or were not able to join us live, please send us an email at nbot@frogforce503.org. Okay. At this point, I'm going to stop sharing my screen so that you can meet our panel, and we will start answering your questions. So Navia, do we have any questions on the live chat?
Not yet.
Okay.
No, we don't.
So let me start. We have a lot of questions about, what's going to happen this season, considering there's our stay home, stay safe, and our social distancing guidelines. So we will be working with the teams to get started virtually. And First in Michigan and First are in the process of designing a spectrum of ways to implement the FIRST programs in the fall, whether we're able to meet in person or we're completely virtual. It'll probably be some hybrid of the two. And we'll be taking our cues not only from the governor in the state of Michigan and where we are with the stay home, stay safe guidelines, but also our school district and where they are with meeting in person and what those guidelines are. So we don't know, as a lot of things, exactly what the season's going to look like, but we do know that there will be a fun season to be able to learn and explore together the different themes that FIRST has for us to be game changers. Okay. So I do see a couple of questions popping up on the feed. Do we have one? So I have a question on, I think I started to address that of how would the team work together with the ongoing pandemic. And so again, we do anticipate doing some things virtually and the teams meeting in smaller groups. We will continue to look to our state and the school district for guidance on how we can meet together as a team. And our FIRST organizers are working hard to come up with different options for teams to meet, depending on what we're able to do.
We have another question. Can we use infrared sensors in FTC?
So I'm going to ask one of our other mentors who's worked with FTC that question. Do we have the answer?
Yes, Janelle, yes, we have infrared sensors as for the kickoff part, so they can use infrared sensor.
Okay, great. And again, we'll be getting into more details like that when we meet individually with the teams and as we have the FTC training going on in the fall. So what other questions would we like to address in this?
Are there any special FIRST guidelines on how to run team meetings during the pandemic, due to the pandemic?
So FIRST has not published their guidelines as of yet. Registration for the teams will be opening on the FIRST website on May 28th, and the kickoff for FLL is on August 4th, and the FTC kickoff is September 12th. So we expect more information on details on the season coming out around those times of the kickoffs. So I do know that they are working on a spectrum of solutions depending on where we are, and those will also be implemented by region. So we will look to FIRST in Michigan for direction on how that will be implemented in our region. But we do anticipate some hybrid of meeting in small groups all the way to meeting completely virtually.
One other question is like, how will the core values work in FLL?
Okay, Mr. Oliver, would you like to address that?
Sure. So the 6 core values that the FIRST organization works by are basically incorporated into some fun activities during the competition. There's going to be a judging session where the students will have to work together on a task that's going to be given to them by the judges, where the judges can actually see how well the team actually works together. The core values are mostly about teamwork and helping others and listening to your teammates and work together. So that's how the core values will be judged. It is not absolutely necessary to have a core values poster board as it was shown in the presentation, but it doesn't hurt to actually bring it as a prop to move the conversation along with the judges if necessary.
So I'll add a couple of things to Oliver. So a couple of examples that we've seen in the past is one year, the judges gave us a balloon gave to the team a balloon, and they said like, you have to keep the balloon off the ground. So a couple of rules: you cannot use your hands or legs, for example. And if one person touches it, the next person has to be somebody different. So basically the intent of that, as Oliver was saying, is to see how you work in a team, how you communicate, how you assign roles. And because the challenge is new to everybody, you just get the challenge right when you enter the room. So how you plan, how you work towards it, and how you work together, that's what they're looking for. Another example that I remember is they gave us one time the core values. Oliver talked about the 6 core values. They gave it to us and they said, like, the team, and said, arrange it in any order you want from the most important to the least important, and then justify why you think the way you ordered is the right order. So again, there is no right or wrong answer. Every core value has its own merits. So the judges just want to see like how you worked in a team, how you arranged it, and were you kind of like arguing or fighting during that session. I think that's what one of the key things they want to make sure, that no matter, you will have differences. I mean, that's real life, right? We all have differences, but how do we resolve it? How do we work in a team, and how do we come out successfully? I think those are the things that the judges look for.
Great. I think we have some additional questions coming in.
Yeah, there's like, oh yeah, you can go ahead.
Yeah. Do the registration fees cover all aspects of costs required for the competition?
So the registration fees, the participation fees that each student pays to community ed, those are placed in a student activity account for the district, and those funds can be used to pay for the expenses for the season. So those fees are, the amount of money that a team has to spend on their expenses is somewhat determined by the number of students on the team. So for example, for FLL, when we come up with that cost, we estimate that there will be 8 students on a team. If you choose to have a smaller team, like we had some teams last year that had only 6 students on the team, then there may be some additional costs. There are also grants and sponsorships that have been available in the past from corporations that you may work for, and also from the state of Michigan. Now, of course, we're entering a very different financial situation here, and there is, of course, no guarantee that corporations will be able to continue to provide those grants and sponsorships, but that has been a considerable source of financing for teams in the past. Teams are also encouraged to do fundraising, especially at the FTC level, as part of their team building. And then beyond that, it is kind of up to every team to come up with their budget. That's one of kind of the cool parts of this program, is it's not only a robot program, that students also learn some business skills in budgeting and making choices and how they're going to spend their money. They also may have social media presence to promote their team, and go out to talk with sponsors and professionals in the community as a way to raise funds also. So the participation fees will cover the minimum amount that you need to build a robot and compete. But there is flexibility and choice available to teams in how they want to implement their season beyond that. Hopefully that answers your complicated question. If not, please feel free to email and we can discuss it more.
I think another common question is like, can people outside of Novi join the Novi teams?
No, the teams that are sponsored by the Novi Community School District are for Novi Community School District students only and our registration. Now, most of the school districts surrounding us have robotics programs at the high school level and also have the lower level programs. So if you do have friends that live in a different school district, please contact me. You can contact us at NDOT at FrogForce 503, and I will do my best to put you in touch with the right person in your district to help you get on a first team. We want every student that would like to be able to participate in first.
There's another question. How would teams receive student mentor support if there's a virtual season?
Okay, Mr. Bose, would you like to try to handle that one?
Okay, I think Mrs. Moore covered it partially in her previous response. I mean, it's a two-part question. I mean, one is the mentorship, and the other is, with the things going on this year. I mean, this year is a very unique year, right? So what we have done so far in our Frog Force is we've used Zoom meetings primarily. This is one area that, where you can get to see your entire team. But again, the assumption is you would have formed your team, you would have registered, you at least know who the people are. So as I'm assuming that all that is done and you now have a team, now you're talking about like, how do you mentor and how do you meet? So I think Zoom meetings would be one of the things that you would want to do. And the slides and the videos that we showed in this presentation, I think that's a great resource for somebody to start, at least if you're a rookie team, for example. This video, I mean, the videos and the slides that we presented has a lot of information. You can go to the first websites. You'll see a lot of information there too. But coming back to the specific season, I mean, you will have to assign, as I was mentioning, you will have to assign a build coach. You will have to assign a programming coach. If it's FTC, you will have to have a CAD, somebody familiar with CAD, for example. And if you guys need help, I mean, we are there. Feel free to drop us an email and ask us like what exactly is the scope of each of the things. I mean, at a high level, you will understand that if you're talking about programming, you have to know about Java programming and those basic stuff. For building, obviously, how to handle the different mechanisms and the mechanics. CAD, of course, Autodesk is one of the things that we typically use. So coming back to the question, I mean, a lot of it will be through virtual meetings. Again, up until the point that, we are allowed to physically meet later this season. Who knows when that will happen. But at least if you want to get a head start and, once you register, I would suggest that you start meeting, start forming your teams, assign role to your team members. So everybody knows and that will be a combination of what that person wants to do and what is the role that's missing in the team. So try to do all those stuff. And even from the parent side, everybody has to take a role, sign up for something. Don't be scared that you've never done it before. Pick it up, move forward. And then if you get stuck, we are there. Oliver mentioned about all the future things that's coming up, where we'll be meeting with all the teams one-on-one. So collect your questions, come up with all your questions, and feel free to reach out to us. And in one of the future sessions, we'll definitely help you guys.
Another question is like, what would be the tentative timelines for competitions? So for like problem statements and like building the robot.
What is the timeline for?
For like doing a presentation or like building the robot and stuff like that.
Okay, Mr. Tigala, would you like to handle that one?
Yeah, sure. So the season actually starts for FLL. The season starts August 4th this year, and for FTC, the season starts around September 1st week. And once the season starts, the competition dates are between November 1st week to December. So you have time for your build, program, everything from August 1st, because that is when you will know what the missions are you have to do. Even the mission mat has already been revealed for this year for FLL, but you would only know during the August 1st week what kind of missions that you have to do. And based on that, you have to start building. Typically, you should be able to build a robot, educational bot in a day or two and start accomplishing. This is for the rookie teams. And for the teams who are already have experience, they know it takes about 2 to 3 weeks for them to come up with a plan, start building. And same thing for FTC. They'll have typically 4 to 5 weeks to complete all these things. Build and programming is one. It's going to take a lot of time because they have to keep fine-tuning the programming, what mission they have to accomplish, and those kind of stuff. That's about build and program for FLL and FTC. But as you say, as Mr. Oliver was saying, or Kaushik, we have a lot of resources online, or we have a lot of resources locally, which we can be able to help you in terms of build or programming, in which we'll be conducting a lot of sessions.
Okay, I'm just going to add something to that. I heard in the question there was a mention about boards also, Krishanu, is that correct? Build and boards?
Yeah, like presentation and stuff. Yeah.
Okay, so the presentation boards, again, if every competition, every judging session will have its own respective boards. So for FLL, there are, again, the presentation we shared with you guys today has all that information. I'm just repeating just so that everybody's on the same page. For FLL, we have a core values board, which Oliver said, it's optional. It's good that you do it because that way you stand out. There is a board for the project. There's a board for the technical the flows of the programs, the EV3 programs, the RDES or whatever that's called, the technical side of it. So typically you cannot start building the boards day one, as Mr. Tigala was mentioning, you start the season, you start getting the stuff. So one key thing that you would not want to lose an advantage is make sure you always take pictures whenever you guys meet and whenever you're doing any progress. Because at the end of the day, like a couple of weeks or 3 weeks before the actual competition, when you start, by compiling your boards and completing the stuff, that's when the pictures are going to be very handy. So if at like 2 weeks before competition, if you realize that you didn't take any pictures during the season, that's like you already kind of like, you're going to fall behind. So if you're thinking about the presentation boards, perfect, think about it, but make sure, you start building the content for it as soon as you start meeting. But the boards are not due until the judging session. But you do want to prepare and have the boards finalized maybe 2 to 3 weeks before the competition, because if in FLL, you do have to present a skit, and a lot of the skit is derived from what you guys have done in terms of the problem, the research, the solution, and how you share. So boards are a key part of that. For FTC, again, we have similar boards, but it's more like the engineering notebook drives a lot in addition to the boards. So the key is make sure you take pictures, at least for the robot. Every time you guys are meeting in a team, you'll have to take pictures of the robot, because the judges don't want to see the picture of the final robot. The judges want to see what is the journey you guys have completed in the 3 weeks, 4 weeks, 5 weeks, 6 weeks, or whatever the season is, 7 weeks, 8 weeks. So in order to convince the judges, you have to take pictures. You have to come up with and also assign responsibilities of who is going to talk about which area when you enter the judging room. So FLL or FTC both have something very similar, where you have to enter the judging room and you have to prepare, you have to have a presentation ready to go. So if you're talking about what's in the board, everybody should know in the team which section is what in the board, like which one is outreach, which one is like technical. So from that perspective, just be prepared. And I hope I answered the question. If not, please feel free to send us more questions on that nbot.frogforceemail.com that we said.
Great.
We have a really quick question. Can a team order multiple mission maps?
No, historically, teams have not been able to order multiple mission maps, and I don't anticipate that changing this year. The reason is Lego provides those or manufactures them, and they do it at a considerable discount, and they are discounted than Lego pieces. And so they only allow one mission model set per registered team. I also see several questions about the registration dates. So I'll reiterate that the registration is open at the Novi Community Ed website. It's currently open now. It opened on March 18th through June 1st. So please do register your students during that time frame so that we're able to form teams and get them registered and the equipment ordered in a timely basis. The other question that I've had in the last couple of days is the refund policy. And the refund policy is on the Community Ed site. Refunds are available through the end of July, with the season beginning again on August 4th for FLL and September 12th for FTC. Now, I will add one caveat. If your team has paid the first registration fee for the team and thus spent your participation fees, then they are no longer available to refund. So that is a consideration if your team is not sure about going forward, or there's a number of people on the team that are still considering a refund, then that will affect the timing of being able to register your team and have your equipment in time to start when the season kicks off.
Can you help to form team as we don't know who would be participating in our neighborhood?
Yes, that's what this process is all about. So we would, we are telling you about the programs that FIRST offers, and we're asking you to register your student for the appropriate age-appropriate program on the Community Ed website. That gives us the information for the students that are interested in participating in this program, and the ability to group those students. At the younger ages, we group them by school so that they are in your neighborhood or in your school. As we get into middle school, of course, we have one middle school in Novi, so that's not as, that doesn't necessarily determine the team, because all of the middle school teams are in one middle school. We also consider the blend of the team. So we would prefer to have teams that are made up of a variety of ages, and also both boys and girls, so that as our students move up in grade and change in program, that those teams are able to add new students and continue. This allows us to pass down, team information and have the existing students and mentors mentor the new people, and allows us to have more competitive teams as that information is shared from year to year.
There's another question. Can we order multiple robot part kits for our team? Yes,
you can order, given the funding, you can order multiple kits. So every team receives a kit from Novi Robotics. Teams continue from year to year, and the equipment is passed from team to team. So you will not necessarily receive a new kit. Part of your funding, part of your budget will be to augment that kit or replace pieces that you feel need to be replaced. But your team does have the option to buy a completely new kit in addition, given that the funds are there for your student activity account or sponsorships, grants.
Another question is, will Frog Force host scrimmages for lower levels to give the experience of a real competition?
We would love to do that, and we'll certainly add it to the list of things to do. Right now, we're all wondering what it's going to look like, and if we will have the ability to meet in groups and do that kind of a scrimmage. Is there anything our MyFLL coaches would like to add to that? No. So it is very valuable, I think, to be able to compete on a different field for practice before you actually go to competition. What we find both at the FLL and FTC level is that your robot can act a whole lot different at competition than it does in your dining room, garage, or basement.
Yep, there's usually different lighting situations, or the table might be a little bit different from one to the other. And just the atmosphere of having two teams competing against each other adds already a little bit. And what we mentioned in the presentation is that we will try to actually prepare all the teams for the competition season by walking them through the whole process of what happens at a competition. And in that process, we would love to actually host some sort of scrimmages where the teams can experience competing against each other on the table.
I think when we know more about what the competitions are going to look like this year, for example, there is the possibility that some part of the competition is virtual, so that we can avoid having large crowds at competitions. So I think once we know more what that looks like, then Frog Force could work on doing a scrimmage or a guest judging or something that would help you prepare for competition in a way that it would, look the same as what the competition actually would be.
There's another FLL related question. What are the 3 different categories added to FLL? Can I choose to participate in the category my team is interested in doing?
I think that question is talking about the new 3 different sections of FLL, the different age groups. Before we had the first Lego League, which is 4th grade through 6th grade here in Novi. The lower level was called FLL Junior, which was kindergarten through 4th grade, actually through 3rd grade, I believe. And now First actually has combined those 2 groups under the umbrella of the first Lego League. But in the same move, they sectioned it into 3 different categories. The first one is called First Lego League Discovery, which is actually a pre-kindergarten activity. And then the First Lego League Explore is what was before called First Lego League Junior. And the First Lego League Challenge is what was formerly known as the First Lego League. So we'll still have the same age groups with the additional Discovery group, which is like a pre-kindergarten Lego Duplo building experience where the kids have to build a model according to a theme. The First Lego League Explore will be taking place instead of the First Lego League Junior for kindergarten through 4th grade. And then the First Lego League Challenge, replacing the former First Lego League from 4th grade through 6th grade.
Another question is, if we want to have an early start to my team, where can we order the kit parts?
I apologize. So the kit of parts is available once your team is formed. We do anticipate some bumps this year. We will need to be able to collect the kits from the existing teams and be able to transfer them to the new coaches for those teams. And that will somewhat depend on when we have availability to the school buildings. So we will work on getting the teams formed and their equipment in their hands, before the kickoff that starts in August. If you want to order additional equipment, again, you can do that once your team is actually registered for the season on the First website.
Another question is, can you become a mentor on the team if you don't have a child or a student on the team? If so, how?
So if you're interested in doing that, I would ask you to contact me. And again, you can do that through nbot@frogforce503.org, just so we can get a little bit more information about what your background is and what level you're interested in mentoring and how we can use your enthusiasm in the Novi Robotics community.
I think that's it.
Okay, so let's take a quick look back at the chat and make sure that we've answered all the questions that our audience had. And I want to thank you again for joining us for the town hall meeting. And say one more time, if you have additional questions, feel free to contact us. The best way to do that is at the email address nbot@frogforce503.org. Okay, thank you very much. We're going to end the live stream at this point. Thank you all again for joining us, and please keep the communications coming.